République démocratique du Congo, adopté en Conseil des ministres en 2012, pose clairement notre vision de l'avenir. Un avenir où la forêt congolaise est mieux gérée, mieux préservée et où son exploitation durable alimente le développement rapide du pays. La vision congolaise affirmée dans cette stratégie prône un usage raisonné du territoire en vue de stabiliser les couverts forestiers à 63,5% du territoire national à l'horizon 2030. Cette stratégie ambitieuse reconnaît la nécessité pour les pays de faire des arbitrages entre les usages conflictuels des territoires, de sécuriser l'accès et les fonciers pour le bien-être des communautés locales et peuples autochtones. Cette stratégie a été déclinée en un plan d'investissement national 2016-2020 qui couvre tous les secteurs de l'économie nationale et évalué à 1,1 milliard de dollars. À ce jour, nous avons réussi à en mobiliser un cinquième de l'initiative pour la forêt en Afrique centrale, en sigle CAFI, et déployons tous les efforts pour mobiliser les restes. Comme beaucoup de nos pays réunis ici, la République démocratique du Congo fait face au défi de découpler la croissance économique de la déforestation. Réussir ces défis implique une discipline dans la mise en œuvre des politiques, des actions qui sont compatibles avec le maintien du couvert forestier et requiert une collaboration et une coopération renforcée. La première contrainte à laquelle nous faisons face reste le manque de financement conséquent et prévisible, financement indispensable à la mise en œuvre des actions nécessaires à la réussite de nos objectifs. En effet, les mécanismes financiers actuels ne reconnaissent pas suffisamment les particularités des pays comme les nôtres et ne tiennent pas suffisamment compte des efforts impartis. Le transfert de technologies représente la deuxième grande contrainte, particulièrement en ce qui concerne les énergies renouvelables, car un pays aussi vaste que la République démocratique du Congo, à la dimension d'un sous-continent, ne pourra pas assurer son développement et son émergence et réduire la dépendance sur les bois énergie sans l'électrification de son territoire. Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs, cette conférence vient donc à point nommé afin que nous trouvions des solutions communes à nos problèmes communs. C'est pour vous dire, Monsieur le Président, les attentes de la République démocratique du Congo, mais dans les conclusions de cette conférence de très haut niveau, ainsi que son engagement pour accompagner les pays participants dans notre cheminement commun. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Thank you. May I invite the delegate of the Republic of Congo? He will also be speaking in French.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République du Suriname, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs et chefs de mission diplomatique, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs de délégation, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants du système des Nations Unies et des organisations internationales, Mesdames et Messieurs, en vos rangs, grades et qualités, La République du Congo, ce pays d'Afrique centrale, qui a une superficie de 342 000 km² avec 5,5 millions d'habitants, est couvert pratiquement à 105% de forêt. Le taux de déforestation, comme l'ont dit les précédents, est l'un des plus bas du monde, car il est de 0,05%. C'est ainsi que la République du Congo, par ma voix, exprime toute sa gratitude à la République du Suriname et à son peuple pour cette merveilleuse initiative et surtout pour l'accueil chaleureux qui a été réservé à l'ensemble des participants à cette conférence. Monsieur le Président de la République, je profite de cette solennelle occasion pour vous adresser les très chaleureuses salutations du Président de la République du Congo, son Excellence Denis Sassou Nguesso, Président de la Commission climat du bassin du Congo et initiateur du Fonds bleu pour le bassin du Congo. Qu'est-ce que le Fonds bleu pour le bassin du Congo et qu'est-ce que la Commission climat du bassin du Congo? C'est en marge de la COP tenue à Marrakech et il y a eu un sommet dénommé Sommet de l'Action où l'Afrique a été divisée en 3 grandes entités. On a créé 3 commissions pour l'Afrique. La commission climat de la région du Sahel, que dirige son Excellence Mamadou Issoufou, de la République du Niger. La commission climat des îles, que dirige les Seychelles, le président des Seychelles. Et la commission climat du bassin du Congo, que dirige mon chef de l'État, son Excellence Denis Sassou Nguesso. Mesdames et messieurs, il me plaît de vous rappeler que dans le souci d'une complicité et d'une meilleure entente entre les pays détenteurs des forêts tropicales du monde, le président de la République du Congo avait organisé du 31 mai au 3 juin 2011 à Brazzaville le sommet des 3 bassins forestiers tropicaux du monde, à savoir le bassin de l'Amazonie, le bassin du Mékong et le bassin du Congo. Mesdames et messieurs, toutes ces initiatives prouvent à suffisance l'attachement de notre pays à la dynamique des pays à faire couvert forestier et à faible taux de déforestation, pour la recherche des solutions durables pour le bien-être de l'humanité et la préservation de l'environnement. Il n'est pas encore trop tard. Ma collègue qui est passée l'a effleuré. Le bassin du Congo, c'est aussi les tourbières. Ces tourbières qui s'étendent sur 145 500 km², dont la République sœur de la RDC, on détient les 3/4 et mon pays le quart. Ces tourbières séquestrent 30 milliards de tonnes de CO2. C'est l'équivalent de 15 à 20 ans d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre des États-Unis. Et comme l'a dit ma collègue, c'est 3 ans d'émissions du monde. Nos 2 pays sont assis sur une bombe à retardement. D'où nous demandons à la communauté internationale de nous aider à gérer durablement ces écosystèmes fragiles. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est aussi l'occasion de vous rassurer l'engagement de mon pays pour la mise en œuvre de toutes les conclusions de cette conférence. Je vous remercie.
Thank you. May I please invite the delegate of Samoa?
Your Excellency, the President of Suriname, Excellency Ministers, Ambassadors, distinguished delegates, the media, UN representatives, I bring to you talofa and greetings from the people of Samoa. Your Excellency, Mr. President, on behalf of Samoa's delegation, I would like to thank you for your sterling leadership in guiding the work of our conference to a successful conclusion. Through you, I would like to thank the government and the people of Suriname for being a generous and gracious host, and also to the UN and those who play a part in organizing this conference. Samoa welcomes the participation and active engagement of all relevant stakeholders in partnership with high forest, low deforestation countries, which provided a useful platform for frank and fruitful discussions to better understand existing climate finance mechanisms and their potential roles in addressing some of the needs of the high forest, low deforestation countries. Climate change presents the single greatest threat to the livelihood, security, and well-being of people, especially in the small island developing states, such as my own. It impacts our society, our economy, our culture, our faith, and our way of life. And will continue to be our overriding priority, policy concern, major preoccupation, including our Pacific region, today and well into the future. The Paris Agreement has reaffirmed this in the importance of ensuring ecosystem integrity, as well as the importance of forest-based climate action. Your Excellency, Mr. President, forests are vital to the livelihood and ecosystem of countries, and their effective sustainable management can play a significant role in reducing natural disaster, mitigate against the impacts of climate change, and contributing to the sustainable development of people's livelihood, socially, economically, and environmentally. As a small island developing state, and as a high forest cover, low deforestation country, it is important that we achieve appropriate, effective forest conservation, reforestation, restoration, and afforestation, which is one of the priorities reflected in the Samoa pathway. This will be possible through practical commitment, genuine and durable partnership with the international community, the private sector, and other important actors and greater mobilization to climate finance. Your Excellency, to conclude, we support and look forward to the graveling of the Kruto of Maribor Joint Declaration, which is an important milestone and a practical way forward to help in collective efforts to access and utilize optimally every financing source available to support our national sustainable forest management policy, the 2030 agenda, and the fight against climate change. I thank you. Sorry for.
Thank you. Now, may I invite the delegate from Sao Tome and Principe? He will be speaking in French.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République de Suriname, Excellences, distingués délégués, différents pays présents, Mesdames, Messieurs, bonjour. En nom du gouvernement de mon pays, de Saint Thomé Principe, je vous remercie pour la chaleureuse hospitalité qui a été donnée à ma délégation. Disant que Saint Thomé Principe sont des petites îles très petites, 1000 km², dont nous avons le portugais comme la langue officielle. Tout à fait, je me force de parler français. Disant que nous sommes engagés pour combattre le changement climatique, nous avons 55% de couverture forestière, 25,5% des zones protégées en Sao Tomé et 48% des zones protégées aux îles des Principes. Principe a été considéré comme réserve mondiale de biosphère, comme patrimoine mondial, à cause de son recherche de biodiversité. Mais chez nous, on n'a pas de problème de déforestation. On a la dégradation des forêts. Parce que 80% des maisons sont construites aux bases de bois. Et 57% des populations utilisent des bois comme énergie pour la cuisine. Donc, nous continuons. En 2001, le gouvernement a créé les lois de forêt, donc pour protéger les forêts. Et avec la déclaration de Kruto de Paramaribo, de déclaration, je vais le soumettre à mon gouvernement, certainement qui va approprier cette déclaration-là, que nous continuons à lutter, à combattre le changement climatique. C'est l'engagement de mon gouvernement. Bon, je vous remercie pour votre attention. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. We will be having our last of the country statements given by the delegate of Malaysia. Please.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Suriname, Excellencies, the distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, on behalf of the government of Malaysia, allow me to express our sincere appreciation for the excellent leadership and hospitality provided by the government and people of Suriname. Together with all of you, Malaysia also stands proud to share some of our global contributions. Our rich history in forest management dates back in 1905. We also took leadership to have the first FSC, Tropical Forest Certification, in 1997. We indeed started way before the catastrophic disasters started. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia believes HFLD's platform is crucial in promoting greater synergies, gather more input, sharing experience, negotiate as a group, and develop common interests towards generating multiple benefits. Malaysia reiterates that scaling up of finance for forests is long overdue. RED Plus was negotiated very intently with high expectation to access the RBP. HFLD countries presented FREL, forest reference emission levels, but there is no positive signal on predictability of finance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, hence Malaysia hopes HFLD countries would stand united, thereby strengthening the HFLD's voice and visibility to develop innovative financing and increase our investments in climate finance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And while the delegate of Malaysia is giving the president hand, I want to announce we will not be having a break, but there are drinks available in the foyer for anybody who would like to have a drink or would like to step out. We will be continuing immediately with the statements, all in the efficiency of time, for the sake of time, with the statements by our other international organizations and strategic partners. I would like to announce a statement made by the representative of the Holy See. This statement would have been done by a representative of Pope Francis himself, Apostolic Nuncio Archbishop Fortunatus Nwachukwu, whose flight was delayed. So in his stead, the address will be read by Father Esteban Cross, Vicar General of the Diocese of Paramaribo, Suriname.
Your Excellency, President Bouterse, President of the Republic of Suriname, all dignitaries, ministers, I will read the address by the Papal Nuncio representing Pope Francis. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Suriname, Mr. Desi Delano Bouterse, and all honorable distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. At the start of this address, I would like to thank the government of Suriname for taking the initiative of organizing this timely and important conference. In the challenges of our present time, climate change and the dramatic challenges of the environment affect the entire world population, especially the poor, who are very dear to Pope Francis. And so he consulted many experts on climate change and the environment. And in close collaboration with them, Pope Francis published in 2015 a special encyclical on the environmental questions of our time called Laudato Si. Please note that he gave Laudato Si the status of an encyclical, which is the highest authority a pope can give within the Roman Catholic tradition to a document. In the encyclical Laudato Si, a central theme is integral ecology. Pope Francis claims an integral ecology is inseparable from the notion of the common good, a central and unifying principle of social ethics. The common good is the sum of those conditions of social life which allow social groups and their individual members relatively thorough and ready access to their own fulfillment. The common good calls for social peace, the stability. It calls for distributive justice. Whenever this is violated, violence will ensue. The notion of the common good also extends to future generations. We can no longer speak of sustainable development apart from intergenerational solidarity. In Laudato Si, Pope Francis takes a frank look at what has been concretely achieved with regard to the many environmental challenges. Pope Francis states, worldwide, the ecological movement has made significant advances. This notwithstanding, however, recent world summits on the environment have not lived up to the expectations because, due to lack of political will, they were unable to reach truly meaningful and effective global agreements on the environment. Pope Francis continues, with regard to climate change, the advances have been regrettably few. Reducing greenhouse gases requires honesty, courage, and responsibility, above all, on the part of those countries which are more powerful and pollute the most. Pope Francis states, international negotiations cannot make significant progress due to positions taken by countries which place their national interests above the global common good. Those who will have to suffer the consequences of what we are trying to hide will not forget this failure of conscience and responsibility. Pope Francis continues in this encyclical, for poor countries, the priorities will be to eliminate extreme poverty and to promote the social development of their people. However, at the same time, they need to acknowledge the scandalous level of consumption in some privileged sectors of their population and to combat corruption more effectively. They are likewise bound to develop less polluting forms of energy production, but to do so, they require the help of countries which have experienced great growth, but at the cost of the ongoing pollution of the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, as representative of Pope Francis, I wish to thank the government of Suriname for organizing this timely conference. We hope that this conference here in Paramaribo, attended by so many delegations and participants from all over the world, from governments, private sector, and NGOs, will help to move forward this important process. These problems are so critical to the well-being of humanity, especially the poor, that Pope Francis has convened an extraordinary synod on the many urgent issues and problems of the Amazon region, which will be held in Rome this coming October. The time to act is now. The time for a change of thinking is now. The time for an ecological conversion is now. I pray that the many efforts that have gone into this conference may prove to be fruitful and lasting. Archbishop Fortunatus Nwachukwu, representative for the Caribbean region of Pope Francis. I thank you.
Thank you, Father. May I remind the speakers we have a 2-minute time slot for the statement, so please keep in mind. Yes, please. Now, the Secretary General of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization.
Thanks. Your Excellency, Mr. President, Desiree Bouters, to all the ministers and delegates, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express my deepest gratitude to the government and the people of Suriname for hosting this important conference. Also, congratulate for the excellent work and result of this meeting. I have the honor to speak on behalf of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization. I want to express my support and collaboration in this type of initiatives that allow us to move towards a better participation and access to finance resources to the different countries that are developing relevant and important actions. As we know, tropical forests can provide up to 30% of the climate change mitigation needed to meet the objectives of the Paris Agreement. That is one of the reasons for the great importance of the work that we are doing as Amazonian countries. The Amazon region concentrates more than a half of the tropical rainforest in the world. In this regard, support our work is maintain this crucial ecosystem. We need to build a strategic alliance taking into account the regional efforts to generate international financial cooperation sufficient and long-term to achieve our goals. It is necessary for international cooperation to see the work being done by organizations with the aim of avoiding duplication of work, functions, actions, and above all, not losing final resource. We think that is necessary take into account the national efforts should be computed in a fair manner. For that, we need more inclusive methodology with a holistic view. Defining payment for result for climate finance is as the only or the principal methodology just limit national actions and could discourage public sector initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, where the countries gathered have countries and governments expressed the difficulties present is maintaining the balance between development and the preservation of our forests. By this, we call upon the international community and particularly climate change financing mechanisms to play a more active role in providing effective solutions rather than creating ever more bureaucratic obstacles. The time is now, and the commitments to combat climate change are required promptly and effectively. With these remarks, I give you the thanks for your attention.
Thank you. The representative of the UNDP, Mr. Armstrong Alexis.
Excellency, the President and members of your government, members of the National Assembly of Suriname, visiting delegations, my colleagues from the United Nations, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to have the opportunity to provide remarks on behalf of the United Nations Development Programme. It has been a pleasure for the UNDP to support the planning, organization, and eventual delivery of this conference that has brought together countries to share mutual challenges and inspiring experiences. This conference has also provided a platform for discussions on new opportunities and solutions for high forest, low deforestation countries to fully maximize their collaborative force and be recognized for playing a critical and strategic part in global solutions to fight climate change. Allow me to reiterate the alarm bells that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has sounded with its special report on 1.5 degrees for global warming, warning that with current pledges under the Paris Agreement, the world is heading towards a warming of over 3 degrees Celsius. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that forest conservation and sustainable forest management are integral to the global solution. As we have heard several times during this conference, forests and other natural climate solutions can provide more than 30% of the mitigation action needed by 2050. UNDP is doing its part, working closely with your countries and stakeholders all over the world to maximize its potential for nature-based solutions. We are supporting the Secretary General's 2019 Climate Summit, and we will help convene global champions of change for ambitious NDCs for the nature-based solutions to contribute to accelerating sustainable, inclusive, and resilient development. As UNDP, we are guided by an approach that integrates gender, support for local communities, as well as adherence to safeguards in our work with indigenous peoples and local communities. Through a variety of programs and projects, such as the UN RED, the Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, the GCF and GF, UNDP is contributing to this objective globally. Our support for forest-related issues in the world is leading to substantial carbon benefits, but also enhances the protection of the rich biodiversity and ecosystem services of vital importance to the livelihoods of its people. We have learned much over these 3 fruitful days of discussions. In particular, I want to highlight 2 key messages that have been raised repeatedly during this event. Firstly, we need to increasingly work to mobilize private sector finance. Moving into GF, the GF, for example, is placing enhanced emphasis on leveraging private sector finance, and in this way to achieve greater transformational change and global environment benefits. Secondly, it is essential to combine conservation objectives with sustainable development objectives, involving local communities and stakeholders in all of our efforts. For the UNDP, it is imperative that our global response to climate change is just, inclusive, and leaves no one behind. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, let me conclude by welcoming the adoption of the Krutu Joint Declaration of Paramaribo. I am thrilled to see the declaration as the main outcome of this conference, with a pledge to increase cooperation among HFLD developing countries through a platform for dialogue, coordination, and facilitation to increase interaction and linkages with international multilateral institutions and financial arrangements. I am confident that this will allow us to move away from business as usual, increase collaboration, knowledge, and exchange of best practices, and develop joint strategies and positions to conserve and maintain our forest cover for the benefit of all mankind. In this, there is a call for action on HFLD countries and HFLD areas, and the UNDP stands with you in that regard. I thank you.
Thank you. May I ask the representative from UNDESA, United Nations Department on Economic and Social Affairs, give her statement.
Thank you. Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Suriname, distinguished ministers, ambassadors, delegates, and participants. It is my distinct pleasure to address you today on behalf of Mr. Liu Zhenmin, the United Nations Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs. Mr. Liu is very sorry that he cannot be here today in person, and I deliver this statement on his behalf. When the government of Suriname first approached the Department of Economics and Social Affairs, UNDESA, with the proposal to host this conference, I immediately offered our support, both financial and substantive. The topic of climate finance for HFLDs is close to the hearts of all of us at UNDESA. By bringing together Financing for Sustainable Development Office, the Sustainable Development Goals Office, the Sustainable Forest Management and the United Nations Forum of Forest Secretariat, and the Capacity Development Office, all of whom are represented at this conference today, we have brought together a group. It shows together, by bringing 4 DESA offices together, how dedicated we are to this process. This epitomizes what DESA has to offer the international community: substantive, analytical, normative, and capacity building work to provide governments with tailor-made blends of expertise to support developing countries towards development pathways. Ladies and gentlemen, within DESA's toolbox, several instruments have been designed to be adapted to the specific needs of countries, including HFLDs, to better support them in their efforts to meet both the Paris Agreement under the UNFCCC and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. These include integrated national financing frameworks and national forest financing strategies. As countries have started to implement the 2030 Agenda, mobilizing sufficient financing is emerging as a key challenge. While climate action and the SDGs are increasingly incorporated into national sustainable development strategies, a majority of such strategies do not lay out how they will be financed. The integrated nature of the SDGs calls for a holistic approach to financing issues. For example, economic growth and climate goals can be either inconsistent or mutually supportive, depending on the policy framework. DESA's work in this area aims to lay out concrete steps governments can take to develop cohesive financing frameworks with the support of the international community. National forest financing strategies, which help identify existing new and innovative financing sources and instruments best adapted to the specific needs of each country, can be a part of these integrated frameworks. Through these frameworks, strategies, and many other tools at your disposal, DESA is here to support every government represented in this conference to better harness financial solutions to meet your sustainable development needs. Most importantly, perhaps, I'd like to congratulate you on the adoption of the Paramaribo Declaration. And I very much look forward to our continued collaboration and support for your work going forward. I wish to thank both the President of Suriname for hosting such an important event in this beautiful city, and the United Nations Development Program for our collaboration and for all of your substantive, logistical, and financial support. I hope these discussions have been fruitful, and I very much look forward to our continued collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, please, to the statement of the representative of the CARICOM.
His Excellency President Botese, the Honorable Ildis Pollock Begley, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister Joseph Harmon from the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the head of the Bahamas delegation, distinguished ministers and excellencies, representatives of intergovernmental organizations, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to bring greetings from His Excellency Erwin Larocque, the Secretary General of the Caribbean Community. I wish to thank the government of Suriname and the organizers for the excellent arrangements made for this meeting, as well as to acknowledge the high quality of the presentations made over the past 3 days. As you are no doubt aware, CARICOM consists of 15 member states and 5 associate member states, inclusive of 14 independent CARICOM member states, which are part of AOSIS, the Alliance of Small Island Developing States. AOSIS is viewed as one of the champions, raising the call for paying attention to climate change in the international development agenda. In fact, one of our members, Belize, has assumed chairmanship of AOSIS in January 2019, and Antigua and Barbuda will assume the chair in 2021. This is a region that has been at the forefront of the SIDS and climate change dialogue at the international level. And this region actually is the birthplace of the SIDS movement, with Barbados hosting the first conference in 1994. When it comes to the issue of forest resources management, we've been hearing about the extensive natural endowments of Guyana and Suriname, with over 80 and 90% respectively forest cover. But we also have member states with as little as 3 to 4% forest cover. And that is probably indicative of the SIDS examples of what we experience as a SIDS grouping. Despite this seeming disparity, forest management and development was given prominence in the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which lays out the community's joint ambitions for its development. As it relates to our discussion over the past 3 days, Article 61, paragraph 2 of the treaty speaks to the promotion and facilitation of, among other things, management of forest resources, integration of forest development into rural communities, establishing, facilitating, and strengthening programs for research and for human resource development at the professional, technical, and vocational levels, encouraging public and private sector participation in the development and application of technology, and providing incentives for forestry development to stimulate the domestic, regional, and foreign investment in the forestry subsector. It is safe to say that the sentiments of our discussion over the past 3 days are in harmony with the vision laid out in the Caribbean Communities Framework for its development. From the position of the Secretariat, where we are often called upon to coordinate the region's participation in multilateral affairs, there are many synergies to be achieved with the work on HFLD countries, with, for example, ongoing discussions under the Convention of Biological Diversity on traditional knowledge and access and benefit sharing, the convention, the Land Degradation Convention, which recently had its CRIC in Guyana, where the issues of soils and data and information were discussed extensively, as well as the work on under the GCF. 2 of our regional organizations, the 5Cs based in Belize and the CDB in Barbados, are accredited to the GCF. However, our heads have agreed that we should try as a region to improve our participation and our direct access to the GCF. It is therefore the intention of the Secretariat to take the lessons and recommendations made at this conference and infuse it or synergize it with the other areas of endeavor of the community. As SIDS, we have no choice but to build synergies and create efficiencies, since we have learned that planning and implementing in silos are detrimental to our development. It is our further intention as a Secretariat at the next CARICOM ministerial meeting addressing sustainable development that we can share some of the outcomes of this discussion with ministers from the broader Caribbean family who were not available to participate. The Secretariat stands ready to facilitate this exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you. May I invite the representative from Norway?
Your Excellency, President Bouterse, honorable ministers, ambassadors, heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen, first allow me to convey a greeting from the Minister of Climate and Environment of Norway, Mr. Ola Elvestuen, who is currently on an official visit to Indonesia and couldn't make it to the conference. I would also like to compliment the government of Suriname for organizing this highly valuable conference, and thank you for the warm hospitality extended to all of us who are participating. Suriname's efforts to protect its forests are truly impressive, Mr. President. With a forest cover of over 90%, we're a world leader. By maintaining this continuous forest intact, you're not only doing a favor to future generations of Suriname, but to the world. With only 38% forest cover, Norway is some way behind Suriname and other high forest cover, low deforestation countries. But we also continue to take steps to protect and sustainably manage our own domestic boreal forests. Previous speakers have highlighted the unique role that global forests, and especially tropical forests, continue to play in keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Over the last 10 years, Norway has taken a leadership role in supporting the efforts of tropical forest countries to protect and sustainably manage their forests. Through bilateral, regional, and multilateral channels, we provide support to the efforts of many HFLD countries, including Guyana, Peru, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and other countries who are present here today. Back in 2015, the Norwegian Parliament confirmed that our International Climate and Forest Initiative would be extended until 2030. And only last month in their political platform, the parties that make up the Norwegian government announced their intent to strengthen the initiative over the same periods. It is therefore I can promise you today that Norway will continue to be a partner for HFLD countries in your important efforts to conserve and sustainably manage your forests, also for the next 10 years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I invite the representative from Finland? Thank you.
Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Republic of Suriname, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear children and youth, it's a great pleasure and honor for me as a representative of Government of Finland to address here. It was indeed very moving to listen to your appeals to us adults. Let's keep these messages in our minds. Thank you for organizing this important conference, joining us together. Finland shares similarities with Suriname. Namely, we are also a forest-rich country with coverage of 71% of forest of its surface. Finland, like Suriname, are small countries where nature is a part of our daily lives and forests are surrounding us. Conserving and using forests sustainably is important for future generations. Forests have always been traditionally valuable source of livelihood for Finnish families and economy for the government. During centuries, families never spoiled its source of wealth, but wisely used it for coming generations. We need to maintain forests also for future generations. Forests can be used sustainably for the wealth and development of a country. Forests created Finnish economy. Thanks to the resources, we got excellent education system, which has empowered us and diversified our economy. Finland is today a learning high-tech country with expertise and excellence in many sectors. I hope that we can offer also this know-how to Suriname. Finland is a success story, one of the best countries in the world. Mr. President, we hope that Suriname will also find its path to success, maintaining at the same time its valuable resource, forests, also to its children. With these wishes, I would like to thank you for the excellent hospitality and the friendship of your country. Thank you.
Thank you. May I invite the representative from Canada? Thank you.
Your Excellency, in the interest of time, all protocols observed. Given that forests cover 30% of the Earth's land area, improving sustainable forest management can have significant positive impacts on the SDGs. Canada's forests cover 347 million hectares, accounting for about 9% of the world's forest cover. Canada is a world leader in sustainable forest management, and applying it across the country's publicly owned forests, which account for about 91% of Canada's forest land. Just as climate is a major influencing factor in forests, forests in turn influence climate. Therefore, how climate change affects the carbon source sink balance of Canada's forests matter. Canada's carbon budget model of the Canadian forest sector generates Canada's annual estimate of forest sector greenhouse gas emissions and removals. This model is used widely in Canada and internationally to estimate the impacts of forest management, natural disturbances, and land use changes on carbon balances. Internationally, Canada has pledged $300 million to the Green Climate Fund, comprising $190 million in grants and $110 million in the form of a repayable contribution. In addition, Canada is the fourth largest donor to the Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, with a $40 million contribution to its Readiness Fund and $5 million to its Carbon Fund, two separate but complementary funding mechanisms of the facility. This facility focuses on reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, forest carbon stock conservation, and the sustainable management of forests and the enhancement of forest carbon stocks in developing countries. In Suriname, Canada is a long-standing partner and has supported Suriname in developing its resilience and adaptation in the face of climate change. It provided support to the Anton de Kom University of Suriname for a mangrove rehabilitation project. And Canada has offered its support to Suriname to transition to renewable energies through technical assistance and training offered through its Energy Sector Fund with the Caribbean Development Bank. Canada will also support Suriname to take advantage of climate financing mechanisms, such as the Global Climate Facility, through strengthening their national adaptation plans and nationally appropriate mitigation actions for climate change. In conclusion, Canada strongly believes that economic growth and forest conservation are not contradictory, but complementary. Canada will continue to support Suriname and HFLD countries in our mutual goals to increase collaboration, knowledge, and experience among HFLD countries, and recognizing the contribution of HFLD countries to fight against climate change. So whether you're the 182nd largest country here, or whether you're the second largest country, which is Canada, I would like to say that size does not matter, and the commitment of everybody in this room demonstrates that we are all number one, especially you, Excellency, for sitting here for the whole morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. After this moment, we will be having a break. I was told the break is exactly 5 minutes and 5 seconds long. So we will be timing those seconds, mind you. So please, they will have a break. We have refreshments in the foyer, and we will be calling you back in 5 minutes and 5 seconds. See you back here. Please take your seats. Thank you. We will now be resuming with a video message of the President of the Economic and Social Council of the UN, Ms. Rhonda King. Afterwards, we will finish with or have a closing of the conference from a Maroon community or empowered by our Maroon brothers and sisters. They will show their appreciation to the Creator of nature, the Almighty, for all the blessings, especially during this conference, and ask us for nurturing all nature around us.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your kind invitation to address this conference as President of the United Nations Economic and Social Council. I deeply regret that I'm not able to be with you in person. With over 2/3, 69.2% of its land covered in forests and a 0% deforestation rate, my own country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is considered a high forest cover, low deforestation country, along with other Caribbean SIDS such as the Bahamas, Guyana, and Suriname. Your focus on the gap that high forest cover, low deforestation countries constitute and their specific needs in terms of climate finance is very timely as we gear up for the High-Level Political Forum Summit in September this year. Excellencies, despite having successfully protected their forests from destruction for centuries, these countries have by and large lost out on climate finance. This places their forests and the tremendous capital they have in terms of preventing carbon from being released into the atmosphere in dire need of financing. Developing high forest cover, low deforestation countries are under domestic pressure to grow and develop economically. But at the same time, they have dedicated at least half of their surface area to forests for the benefit of humanity worldwide. In order to meet the goals and targets of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, HFLD countries are looking to the international community. They need support to continue contributing consistently and significantly to storing carbon and mitigating the global effects of climate change for current and future generations. Excellencies, I encourage you to be bold in your deliberations and reach consensus to give a strong voice to high forest cover, low deforestation countries, as this year is critical for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This is your opportunity to mobilize action toward creating a momentum for the SDGs. We will have 2 high-level political forums on sustainable development, one in July under the auspices of ECOSOC, and one in September at summit level under the auspices of the General Assembly, which will look at ways to accelerate progress towards all the SDGs. Other high-level meetings of key relevance to high forest cover, low deforestation countries will also be taking place in September this year. The Secretary General's Climate Summit, the high-level dialogue on financing for development, and the high-level midterm review of Samoa Pathway. Your discussions will also be pertinent to the work of the Council and the ECOSOC system, including the upcoming ECOSOC Financing for Development Forum in April and the 14th session of the UN Forum on Forests, a subsidiary body of ECOSOC, in May. Excellencies, I count on your continued engagement with the work of ECOSOC and the HLPF to mobilize action toward creating momentum for the SDGs in high forest cover, low deforestation countries. I wish you a successful meeting. I thank you.
Errol. Ocholo busulu. Ocholo busulu palam palam palam. Odua kotoko tintin kontom bili faja. Ujanto nasi betele. So swaki, so swanda. Bobo sibo sibo. Segede, 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 segede. Chubakai. Aukai akung hedi. Utweda ngoto. Ngoto tweda pikikiki. Pikikiki tweda gankiki. Gankiki tweda lio. Lio tweda se. So bisabi. Wata tawaka. Majay. De mati. De mati, akamia, taganyao, tapoi di matu me udasi, wata au u osidenu, teka wata nabitado, de mati akamia o ta begi unu. E wapoi di go mama. E wapoi di go mama da bakami. When the rain drops on a mountaintop, it creates a creek. And then the creeks find his ways into the rivers. That's the way we knew the raindrop floats. And even though you are the most powerful, my friend, but still we used to be side by side. But of humankind's behavior, we often, too many times, see you in our cities, in our homes, in our villages. Humankind acting like they're stronger than the nature, feeling superior. Go mamau, udau nupi misi. Udau nupi misi ta utame hebi. Utamenye hebi daddy go mama utaboku mbaka ma utabegi. Miku mama tukonde mi utabegi unu. De wamboko mama go mama baka. Homeless. Mothers, children. When will we see and feel the tears of Mother Earth? When she come bashing and knocking on your 5th floor apartment door? When will we see that Mama Earth is crying? Mita beg you no. Mita beg you no. I do a pledge for Mama Earth. Please do whatever in your possibility, whatever it is in your ability to help Mama Earth survive tomorrow. Udatang yo. Udatang
Gantanyo. Desama ya gantangi fuye. Aiba mama masaga dumegida yegawa. Mama dinko ya utaki moya gamba. Mama pia ba umamegi udaye mae. Mama moya gantangi fiye ma. Mama dinko ya utaki moya gamba. Aiba mama. Aiba mama mama. Mama mama. Yaba mama. Aiba mama mama. Mama mama. Aiba mama. Aiba mama. Ajoito negwe. Ajoito negwe. Ajoito madegwe. Nego bega golo sakobakae. Ajoito eba oye ba e. Ajoito negwe. Ajoito madegwe. I believe that da sakobakae. Yeah ba yeah yo yeah ba yeah ba yeah yo ba
Wow, thank you. While we get the stage ready for the closing remarks of the President, I would like to please give some notifications or some announcements to all attending heads of delegations. As mentioned previously, you are reminded of the heads of delegates lunch. This will be held in the Royal Torarica restaurant. You will be escorted there by somebody from the staff will be there to escort you. Also, all delegates who will be departing in these coming days are kindly requested to present themselves at the registration desk for information regarding their departure. There is also, in honor of the Secretary General of ACTO, the Federative Republic of Brazil will host a reception, will be hosted by the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Brazil at his house, at his home. And a meeting point for all delegates for the reception is the Royal Torarica parking lot. The time for departure is set as 6:20. So please, if you are attending that, this is for the international, for the attending head delegations, international delegations. And then we have a last announcement. The field trip departure for tomorrow, for those delegates who are going on the field trips tomorrow, the departure will be from the parking lot of Royal Torarica. For those who are going to Coroni, the departure is 7 o'clock. For those who are going to Wegnache, that is also 7 o'clock. And for those who are going to Mata, that will be 8 o'clock. So please keep that in mind that you are there on time so that you do not miss your field trip. And then I also want to remind on the agenda we have a photo shoot. The president will be having a photo shoot first with the delegations, and afterwards we will have a photo shoot with the rest of the participants, other participants. So now that the stage is ready, may I invite the President of the Republic of Suriname, His Excellency Desi Derano Bouterse, to give his closing remarks. Thank you.
Excellencies, Excellencies, delegates, we have arrived at the end of 3 days of deliberation, taking in a tremendous amount of information. As all HFLD countries, not just developing countries, we share our experiences on the many challenges, but also on the great opportunities. Our Speaker of the National Assembly, Mrs. Jennifer Simmons, identified the challenge clearly. Financial mechanisms should oblige those who put CO2 in the air to duly compensate those that take CO2 out of the air. At the Bonn Climate Conference in 2017, Suriname announced its aspirations to maintain its forest coverage at 93% of the land area. I stand here today to confirm Suriname's intention to continue on this path. We are aware that our forests provide significant benefits to the world by storing enormous amounts of carbon. Long before climate change was globally acknowledged, the high forest cover, low deforestation countries were already preserving healthy ecosystems. The critical role and the contribution of forests are currently recognized across international and multilateral fora and their outcomes. This includes the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the Paris Agreement, and the UN Strategic Plan for Forests 2017-2030. Unfortunately, valuable contribution of especially HFLD developing countries to the climate change challenge is not reflected in climate finance. Cooperation amongst these countries is therefore imperative. When I see the broad participation in this conference of our country and organizations from our own Americas, from Africa, from Asia, from international institutions, as well as from the scientific community and civil society, I'm confident that we are on the right track. Delegates, Suriname was the first country that reserved a vast amount of its land mass, approximately 11% for conservation purposes, by establishing in 1998 the Central Suriname Natural Reserve. At the time, Suriname has maneuvered itself into a difficult position. Almost half of our land was handed to logging companies in the early 90s. However, the strategic establishment of the Central Suriname Natural Reserve, with a total area of 1.6 million hectares, put an immediate halt to these activities. This decision was specially taken for protection reasons. A decision without even having the foresight of what this nature reserve intrinsic value would be in the years to come. And now, 20 years later, we owe it to ourselves to evaluate and question the impacts of this decision. Are the ecosystems in the natural reserve intact or enhanced as originally intended? Do the conservation efforts contribute to our economic development? Do we invest enough in our own capacity to be a player on the world environment stage? Do we make sufficient use of available multilateral funds and financial mechanisms? And to what extent does our fellow Surinamese, men or women, benefit from having a nature reserve that comprises 11% of their land? Regardless the answers, regardless of what's happening to those questions, we Surinamese people know the enormous value that nature means to us. Despite our various religious and cultural backgrounds, nature connects our lives. For culture traditions, for traditional medicines, and even for leisure. Nature connect us here and connect Suriname with the world. Financial arguments, however, dictate both international and national affairs. It is therefore important to know what is one has, how much one is one worth. That is why I'm pleased with a recent study about the Central Suriname Nature Reserve, which also estimate the financial value of the natural assets. This study proves once again that standing forests are more valuable than logging forests. Life on our planet depends on healthy ecosystems. Like Suriname, other HFLD countries represented here have vast amounts of intact forests. For HFLD developing countries, nature and development are intrinsically connected. We are all confronted with the threats from unsustainable activities while attempting to plan a sustainable development. I believe our challenge is to find a development model that balances our national interests with continuing to deliver eco-services to the world. Suriname, for its part, will improve its legislation, align the policies to the aspirations, and improve our ways. It is with great satisfaction that I announce that Suriname has deposited the instrument of ratification to the Paris Agreement yesterday, the 13th of February 2019. We look to the international community to assist us with appropriate financial instruments, technology, and training. For only together we can attain our common objectives. It is therefore with great joy that I announce the adoption of the Kruto of Paramaribo Joint Declaration of HFLD Climate Finance Mobilization yesterday, following in-depth discussions as HFLD developing countries. The support we have received for organizations, this conference is greatly appreciated and will certainly be necessary along the journey ahead of us. On behalf of the government, on behalf of the people of Suriname, I wish to express my appreciation to the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the UNDP, and local sponsors, and the delegates here, as well as virtual participants in the world for their support in realizing this conference. The adoption of this document is important to jointly continue our efforts and focus on practical results as it enables us to increase our cooperation at relevant international and multilateral mechanisms. I look forward to a united voice and innovative models that will shape our mutual interests. Suriname is honored to have received the mandate to bring the HFLD development countries' efforts to the international fora. We take this assignment very seriously and pledge our dedication. We as HFLD development countries have set ourselves on a new path. We offer to all of our friends and collaborators the Krutu of Paramaribo to lead the way. Before I close, allow me to salute the voice of our youth people as heard this morning. Het behoud van onze planeet hangt af van het diepe besef van ons leiderschap dat jongeren de toekomst zijn aan wie wij alle tools moeten bieden om hun leiderschapsrol te kunnen innemen. Wij zijn het aan hun en de toekomstige generaties verplicht. I thank you very much for your attendance in Suriname. And with that, I hereby formally close this conference. Thank you. God be with you.
Thank you, Excellency. Now we will be having the photo shoot and a small press conference that will be held. The photo shoot will be with the President. Can I ask yes, the stage will be cleared. You can have a seat, Mr. President. The stage will be cleared, and then we will ask the delegations with the President to come up to the stage to have the photo. Thank you. Kan je de heads of delegations alvast voor me ronselen? Vraag Nessa, oh hierbij. Ai. De heads of delegations. Prima, geweldig.
1 second.
The stage without breaking. So, okay, the stage has been cleared. So may I invite the heads of delegations, please, to come to the stage because we will be having the photo shoot with the president. Thank you. Yes. So we will have the president here. Come to this side. Yes. Thank you. I think you're taller, sir, so we can have you. Sir, if you could come over here, a little bit more over here because we have this. Let me see if it's okay in the camera. We don't want it. She wants everybody to. She wants to see everyone. No hiding. Because she apologizes sometimes behind somebody else. Are you good? Can you see everyone? Do you need it to be more in? Yes? Can you please take the chair? Minister Rakuduna. Ricky, take the chair. Yeah. Cheese? No cheese? Dapat the rest, eh? The rest. Jullie geven het zijn, hè, wanneer jullie klaar zijn met 20.000 volk. Yes, okay. Then we will have one more with some other delegates. Let me move out of the way, please. Minister of from South Tome. Oh, Paul, Dr. Ockus, if you could just, yes, so that he, yes. Can we have one with you next to the president, the ambassador of would go to your right more. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All of them.
Before we break for lunch, may I have your attention, please? 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 Before we break for lunch, I would like to have these words. Will the president be leaving now? Okay, because I had some closing work and then we would. No, but you can leave. Please be seated. Please be seated so that we can finish this up and then we can go to lunch. Distinguished participants, we have arrived at the end of a very fruitful exchange of thoughts on very important issues, namely climate mobilization. I have to thank and commend you on behalf of the President of the Republic of Suriname, His Excellency Desiree Delano Bouterse, the government and organizing committee of this conference. You have demonstrated your commitment towards our goal to sustain our position of high forest cover, low deforestation countries. The Paramaribo Declaration is testimony of your efforts during the past 3 days. And that is exactly what we have demonstrated at this conference, that through dialogue, we can reach common positions. The Paramaribo Declaration is officially called Kruto of Paramaribo Joint Declaration. A Kruto is a gathering of wise people who reach consensus through dialogue. In closing, I wish you a safe journey back home and hope to see you again in our Sweeties Ranang. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup. Bedankt. Grand tangi. The official lunch for the delegates, heads of delegations, will be in Royal Torarica restaurant, and the lunch for other participants is in the banquet hall. Hope to see you again soon. Mike.